Oh, Shanti, welcome. So happy to see you. Small but mighty group. Thank you for being here. And to our Zoomers, I know they're in the multi-thousands out there listening and sending your vibrations to us. I know a couple of people that actually said they were going to be on Zoom tonight. So welcome, especially some people who haven't been around for a while. I know a few people contacted me and said they wanted to come back. So welcome to us. I want to just make a pitch. It's always better in person, but we welcome you, Zoomers. Anyway, so this is April and we're finishing up April. And I have to tell you what's amazing. And I've been coming every Thursday and it's 7 o'clock and look at it outside. It looks like midday. Isn't that wonderful? It's just amazing because I remember 7 o'clock in December, it's very dark. And I remember standing up here saying, I like the dark because it's clear. I remember saying it up here, but I have to tell you, I like the light too. So it's just great. So spring cleaning, well, the only thing with light is you see a lot more of dust and clutter, don't you? I see a lot more of dust bunnies in my home than I normally would at this time. So April is the time for spring cleaning. And this month we've been spring cleaning the soul. And tonight it's a really wonderful topic because this is something that, I think about all the time. Clearing the clutter of unmet expectations. I think for me, expectations is this almost unholy word. I'm getting better at it, but the expectations we have in life, for job, people, family, your children. You didn't do this, I expect you to do this. How did you do on your test? Your parents, you didn't call me. Why didn't you call me? I know my mom used to expect a phone call. So all these things really get in the way of our happiness and oftentimes cause sorrow for us. But one of the greatest expectations that we have that causes, at least for me, the most sorrow is expectations of myself. You did what? That's all you did? You failed at this. And even here, my expectations as a student, as a Brahma Kumaris student, I failed. What does that mean? But I've learned that sometimes it's okay that God loves me, you, no matter what, and we have to be forgiving. So tonight we're going to talk about how to get rid of that clutter of unmet expectations, and that's a good thing. That's really a great way to end the month of April and spring cleaning because that's a good start. And so much that I've learned this month has really enhanced my existence and therefore my existence, the existence of those around me. I assure you, they appreciate my change in behavior as well. So tonight we welcome Sister Sabita. I will call Sister Sabita a dear friend of mine. We've worked quite closely together in the last few years with Park and her amazing work with the UN. If you don't know, the Brahma Kumaris are an NGO, non-governmental organization for the UN, a recognized organization. And most days, you hear me, Eric? Okay. I'm like, okay, good. I've had the privilege of going to the Brahma Kumaris office at the UN. It's really cool. It's actually walking distance from my office in Manhattan. So it's always a treat to go. It's just so beautiful. And so you can feel the vibrations there. And Mr. Sabita gets to go there a lot. And the work that she does is just remarkable. She is, as I mentioned, a UN representative of the Brahma Kumaris in New York for the past 8 years. Her work is based on the understanding that real change, and you'll see this tonight, is based on a shift in awareness facilitated by a spiritual approach that we call Raja Yoga, connection. Sabita has been a practicing student and teacher of this art of yoga for over 40 years. So we are going to gain great benefit. Welcome. We're going to gain great benefit. And one of the benefits that I know the Brahma Kumaris bring to the UN is their spiritual approach. And you really see that market shift when we're in the office with, I've had the privilege to go a few times with the UN representatives. And where do they get their spiritual approach? And it comes a lot from the Brahma Kumaris, and it's really quite a delight to see because we all benefit from that. Peace is a good thing. So I'm glad that you're able to do what you can to facilitate that as well with world leaders. So thank you, Sister Sabita, and I welcome you up. Thank you. And one more thing, this is going to be interactive. Sister Sabita had asked if this is interactive. So I'm going to give you, if you want, some pencil and paper, because she's going to ask us some questions. Am I right? And we're going to write down answers. And you Zoomers up there, if you can put your answers in the chat, and we will try and either I'll read them, or Brother Eric, or maybe we can unmute so we can have a dialogue. Sister Sabita wants us to be interactive, which is lovely.
Good evening, everyone. Greetings of peace, greetings of love, and this beautiful April afternoon, April evening, and everybody on Zoom also. So as Michelle said, we've been spending a lot of time this month spring cleaning the soul, and I'm assuming you must have spent time also spring cleaning your home, because this is the time when we do those things in our home. We get the garden ready for the summer, for the freshness that comes when we clear out all the extra. Today we want to talk about one of the clutters that we have been carrying around for quite some time. At least I carry around, and I suppose many of us carry around these expectations. And how do we free ourselves from them once and for all? So, Michelle was saying I've been practicing this meditation for such a long time. So it crossed my mind that just a few seconds ago, by now I should have gotten this right? How to keep myself clear and free from all these stuff that we collect within ourselves. But not that it would take anybody this long, but it does take a little time. So even though I'm saying that we're going to clear ourselves from all these unmet expectations once and for all, it doesn't mean that we will go out the door in an hours from now totally free. Yes, the feeling would be like that, but we will have a little bit of work to do, and that's why I thought that we could start some of that work here together in this nice, beautiful, sacred, and safe space, so that at least when you leave, you have something to continue your journey or your spring cleaning. So, expectations. Where do expectations come from? Desires. We are wanting something, right? Some wish, some desire that we're having. We're wanting something. Sometimes expectations are valid. We expect when you come on Thursday evening at 6:30, the door would be open, isn't it? And there's going to be some meditation and some sort of a presentation at 7. We expect that, unless we hear differently. So that's a good thing. And there are many like that, many expectations. We expect our employer expects us to reach to work at the agreed time, right? Or as an employer, we expect our employees to reach to work at the agreed time, and we leave at the agreed time. And then so these are like basic everyday good expectations, and they work. The issue comes when the expectations are beyond those things. You know, many times, and as I was kind of thinking, what is it that that make these expectations create problems in our life? As Michelle said a little earlier, the sorrow, the unhappiness. What happened? And including expectations that we have of ourselves. So ourselves, we have the expectation from our children, we have expectation from our parents, we have expectations from your spouses, we have expectations from professionals, from, if I may say, even God, we have expectations. Expectations. We live our life with, based on expectations. We always expecting something from the outside or from someone so that my life becomes a little easier. Because if they do what I expect them to do, right? It means my life will become easier, isn't it? And I don't have to work so hard. I don't have to change because they are doing it, right? And then when they don't do it, then we have a problem now. We have expectations because sometimes we feel that people should have done better, right? This should have, could have, would have. They could have done better. They should have done better. So the expectation, right? Then another one I was thinking that we expect others to do things in the same way that we would do things. The accuracy or the beautiful way or whatever, right? The same way we do things, we expect others will, do the same. And so when obviously they won't, because I'm the only me, you're the only you, right? So obviously they wouldn't do it exactly the same way. And then that now becomes a problem for me. So these little things come, well, it sounds like little things, but when we place these expectations on others, then they don't live up to it because we put these standards very high too, right? So then when they don't live up to it, then we're the one that's left, in the disappointments, in the pain, in the sadness, or whatever, not pleasant feelings that we're experiencing. And don't talk about the expectations sometimes we have in ourselves. Sometimes we raise the standards so high that even, I can't even get that far. And then when we don't perform well, then, then again, we feel hopeless. So we go through our life like this, without placing these expectations, this kind of outward looking. And so what is happening is that when others obviously cannot meet my expectations, I now have that the burden of all of those emotions, I'm carrying them with me. And I'm living out my life based upon all of that. So eventually, after some time, it becomes a clutter because they're not being dealt with. And when they're not being dealt with, they just occupy space. Yeah, just like you have, that's why we do the spring cleaning, right, on the physical level, because we accumulate stuff. And now if you want to bring in new things, we have to clear out, right, the other stuff. And what do you normally would clear out? Not things that you use, but the things that were sitting there occupying space and not really being useful to you. We get rid of it. So in the same way, these unmet expectations, they sit in our subconscious, occupying space and creating, actually, they don't just occupy space, unfortunately, they also create the the other type of emotions or feelings that get triggered every now and then when something happens. And so we end up actually living in uncertainty all the time, because we're having these emotions there, and then they're being triggered by something, whatever is happening out there. So I'm reliving these things, and they create worry or anxiety or disappointments, all these things, and we're carrying them around with us. Amazing, isn't it? And then we wonder why we're not always happy. I want to pause here and just ask you, along with all those few little pointers I give and the expectations, why we have expectations. I want to ask you if you want to add anything to that. We have expectations because we think they could do better, they should have done better. We have expectations because if they do it, then my life is easier. We have expectations because a part of my identity is attached to their fulfilling my desire or my wish. Because if they fulfill my expectations, it means I will look good, right? I will be recognized. I will look good. So a part of my identity is attached to their fulfilling, like parents and children, for example, right? And we can relate to that. And that's a very classic example, and we live it. We live through it. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it wasn't so easy. But teacher and student, when if the student performs well, then the teacher also gets that recognition. So part of our identity is always attached to something when we are having expectations. And that in itself can become a big, big problem, a big clutter. Because if it's met is one thing, if it's not met is another thing. When it's not met is one kind of clutter. And when it's met, unfortunately, sometimes it happens that our demands become even more. Because once that desire gets fulfilled, what happens? We tend to want more, and we want more. So if we want more, where was it coming from the first place? It was coming from outside, right? So it means we are going to place more demands on that person. So we're demanding more. So do you see what is happening now? Maybe the person can fulfill, maybe they can't. Maybe they can deliver, maybe they can't. And if they can, for how long will they be able to? And if they can't, then problems, right? Conflicts and so on will start taking place. Also, when there are expectations, it's always a one-way relationship. And when there's a one-way relationship, then obviously there's difficulties, right? Because I'm only wanting to take. So when these things happen, and even if I'm taking, even if I'm getting and I'm taking, but when I don't give back, right, then the law of karma gets disrupted. I can't only take. Right? It's like Mother Nature too, right? We've been taking. And she's been giving. And we expect her to keep giving, right? Look what we have today. Today, we're being asked to give back. How much of the population of the world is prepared to give back? It's very sad, right? Because it's not many. Very small percentage is prepared to give. The majority are not. Thankfully, I hope we are not in that. We're the minority, right? Who are prepared to give back. So if we only take, then there is going to be a problem. It has to be a two-way, a relationship, a connection for the energy to flow, for there to be free flow. Now, this is why we do spring cleaning, right? So the energy flows. But if I'm not doing that, the clutter is there, the energy can't flow. So there's no freshness, there's no newness. There's no aliveness. So, like I said, at this point, I just want to ask you if you want to add anything else. Why do you have expectations?
I'm kind of almost an expert, an observational expert at this. One thing that I've noted, especially in part of my family and maybe myself, not as much anymore because I'm aware, but it becomes transactional. These relationships are, I'll do this for you if you do this for me. And I have seen that even in families, mothers and children. After what I've done for you, you can't do, you know that thing? I raised you, I sacrificed for you, and you can't call me or you won't drive me. Here I lived with that, with a mother-in-law who's no longer with us, but I saw her do it to her children. I knew them since they were little children, and I saw it from literally from some of them that everything was transactional. You know, the sacrifice that you did, and how dare you not meet these expectations? And it really did make for interesting dynamics. It was a very sad thing to watch because she was never satisfied. The children could not do enough for her. And they, as a result, pulled away. Instead of, she would want to see them more. She really did love them, but her expression of love was transactional. And as a result, I saw a family kind of pull away from it. So it actually had the opposite effect. The more she pulled on them, the more they pulled away. So it was really an eye opener for me as a parent to what not to do. And that I think is
beautiful.
Very important.
We really can learn from each other. Things what, right? Not only what to do, but
Others'
what not to do. Yes. Yes. Anyone else? If you want to write in your
I'm trying to
chat.
monitor the chat, so you may jump into.
Why do you have expectations?
So, yes, and my response to that, what immediately came to mind was conditioning. It's all societal conditioning. And we are constantly in situations where there's an expectation, right? There's a transactional expectation. And I'm a bit of a rebel. And I've been contemplating, right? Which is such a much higher state and much more open and receptive to be in a state of contemplation about everything rather than be in a state of agitation or expectation, right? Expectation for me is, oh, what? You can't behave that way. You're not supposed to say that. Like all of this craziness is constantly going on.
We live our life expecting all the time.
Yeah. I mean, expectations really get you in the end, right? Great expectations. But I want to share something that happened that's going on in my life right now, which is so connected to this. You know, so there's a situation, right? There's a lot of tension. There's a lot of expectation. And, you know, the crap has kind of hit the fan and certain people are panicking. And I made a different kind of effort. And it's not a catastrophe. No one's going to die. It is not a catastrophe. It's a political situation, right? So I made my own decision and I said, so what if the shit hits the fan, right? I didn't say it out loud, but I said it to myself and thought, well, what's going to happen if that happens? And then what's going to happen if that happens? And instead of ruminating, I just let it go. and a miracle happened.
Yes, yes, yes. I I was going to share a similar story, and it really taught me to let go. We always have expectations, and we also think if it turns out this way, oh, it's going to be the best thing ever. And it's not meant to be, it's not meant to evolve in that way. It's meant to evolve in something completely opposite. But I'm envisioning that this is how it should be. This is how it should be. But in my limited mind, that's how I'm seeing it. And the moment I let it go, the whole situation changed like 360 degrees, boop, to the other side. And that thing materialized. And you know what? That turned out to be most beneficial for everybody involved. And this thing happened many years ago, and I always remember it. Every time something like really challenging comes up, I remember this incident that expectation means we try to control everything and everybody, but it's not my part to do that. It's not your part to do it. It's none of us part to do it. We just need to do a few things. Trust, let go, and let things be a little bit. Allow things to flow naturally a little bit before we jump in with our expectations. But thank you for your contribution so far.
There's someone on the chat
Uh-huh.
who was making a comment, and actually it's interesting. I'm going to read what they said, but I've actually heard when I first started in Thursday evenings, people would come and they come for different reasons Thursday night. But this was, and I'm going to read this. I don't think this is the same person, but I've heard this from people that visit on Thursday night. They come for help. Responsibility as a mother or father, when that is not met or on the same page, there is a problem. And I echo that. Thank you for the sharing. Because I remember a woman come in here and go, what do you do? She was here. When your daughter does not listen to you, I do things for her. She doesn't listen to me. What do I do? That's why I'm here. So thank you for sharing that one. So that mother-father situation. Would you like to comment, Sister Sabita?
I will a little later, but soon, because I want us also to reflect a little bit. When our expectations are being met, right? How do we feel at that time? You can just speak out. How do you feel at that time? Satisfied?
Temporarily pleased.
Temporarily pleased. We feel joyful, right? We feel content, right? Life is wonderful. Everybody's doing what I want them to do, right? Yeah, expectations. Yeah, definitely. It is feeding our ego.
Can you repeat that again? Because they
Yes.
may not have heard that.
Expectations also is actually feeding our ego, right? Which we're going to come to shortly. Now, next question. When our expectations are not being met, how do you feel?
It's like a mixture of things for people that don't have training in spiritual life. It's frustration, anger, a little anger, frustration, anxiety.
Right. Anything? Thanks. Anything else? Anger, frustration, anxiety, disappointment. I can repeat. Disappointment, depressed, depressed.
You stop trusting them.
We stop trusting them. We become judgmental. We become critical. Right. I'm sorry.
Of what I've seen in myself is at certain times, I've gotten really offended.
Yes, we get offended, right? And also sometimes we even start doubting ourselves, right? Which in a way is good too, right? Right, we take offense, yes. Maybe it isn't. So these negative things happen, right? So, and then let us say it was never met, because there are some things that happened in the past and it's finished. It was something happened and it's over. But then the expectations weren't met. So we stay carrying, right, these emotions with us. Or it may be that it's currently still happening, but we're still carrying these things inside of us. And so really and truly, how do we free ourselves from all of that and come up with a plan on how to deal with those expectations when they pop up in our minds, right? Because they will, they still will pop up. My other question for you, this is why I had Michelle give you pencil and paper, but if you want to reflect, and for those online also, to think about a few of the expectations that you had and they were met. And why do you think those expectations were met? Right. So think about maybe a few, 2 or 3, or whatever, a few of them, and that were met. And why do you think those expectations were met? Was it because the person loved you? Was it because you demanded it? What? Why were they met? And one more question, and then we will share. The other question is to think of a few incidences when your expectations were not met. And again, why were they not met? Oh, Mike, yes.
But is it on?
Yeah.
The first question, I think, because I wasn't demanding. So because I didn't go forward, they were able to give to me.
Mhm.
With my children, for instance, like I stopped demanding
Mhm.
and they then come forward. You know, they come when they want to come. They feel welcome, but I don't place pressure. You know, I become irrelevant, I feel, in their
Mhm.
lives. You know, they do what they have to do. But the second question, I think, because I thought they should do it, but they didn't think they should do it.
Right.
It was my thinking that
Right.
you should do this,
Right.
but they thought something else.
Right.
So it's my belief, my thoughts, but they have a different
Right.
thought about what they should or shouldn't do. So
Right.
for me, it's always watching. Okay, so these are my ideas.
Right.
It's usually misthinking on my part because I'm feeling sad. It's because I'm misthinking.
Right.
So I've learned to go back to what am I thinking?
Wonderful. Beautiful. Thank you. Anyone else want to share? You wanted to say something? Oh, to think of a few times when your expectations were met and why were those expectations met?
Well, I think in my case, and probably most cases, it's because of their mutual conditions being met in the relations.
Right.
Seems to be some kind of a commonality going on. Different
Mhm.
people's,
Beautiful.
projections of
Right.
what the situation is. But I think also as, so much of it is, I think, based on how they're evolved. People are also, people are at different levels of personal evolution. If you get 5 people at different levels of personal evolution in one room, you're going to have a lot of problems unless one of the people has to kind of be a transcendent person,
Mhm.
like that other force.
Mhm.
But, in answer to the simplest thing, it's just mutual
Mhm.
conditions, mutual goals met, mutual.
Right. So when there is that mutual understanding, then obviously there is the give and take. But if there's only giving from one side and taking from the other side, then there will be problems. And a classic example that we had shared is Mother Nature, right? We taking, she's giving, then we have what we have today. And that then transcends into every area of our life. So, but until we don't come to that mutual understanding, then it becomes very difficult. The question, yes.
Me in the chat.
Mhm.
Someone says, are there people or do some people not have expectations? Is there that some
Is it
people do
possible?
not? Is it possible?
I don't know if it's really possible not to have expectations. Like I said earlier, we can have good expectations. We need to have some goal in life, right? We need to have some aim in life. But the word expectation already has a bad taste to it, right? Expectations come from desires, which come from selfishness of some sort, which then result into disappointments when they're not met. So it's like, who wants expectations? Let's find another word that will, that can be used, so that will
Good question.
be the good expectation, but not to use the word expectation. So I'm able to, as you say, reach for the stars, but in a beautiful way. I expect myself to do better, but instead of using the word expectation, let's find another phrase or another word, and it's up to you. You can share anytime. But I'm also looking at the clock, and we need to talk a little bit about how exactly are we going to clear out this clutter and all these emotions, and how we're going to switch this thing from expectations to pure wishes, good feelings, or something like that, pure desires, if there's anything that exists like that. How do we do that? I have a few pointers, and then you can add from your experience also. I think that the first thing we have to remind ourselves is that we have to accept if I'm struggling with some unmet expectations and all the stuff that comes with it, and especially if it's something of the past, I have to remind myself it is what it is. It was what it was, and accept it for whatever it was, to create the space between myself and that, so that I can now forgive maybe myself, not even the other people or persons involved, but forgive myself for doing what I did or not doing what I didn't do, or whatever happened. And then take the light from, I don't know if you're okay with the word God or the divine or the source or the universe, to take that healing light and allow yourself to allow that light to come in and fill your heart with love and heal that. Otherwise, we'll be going around blaming somebody for whatever happened in my life, and how long we're gonna, live like that, right? So I thought that that's one thing that we definitely need to do, is to say, okay, take a deep breath, okay. It is what it is. It is what it is what happened, and fine. And now let me forgive, heal, and move on. And let it go, let it clear out. It's clutter that I'm not using anymore, right? Get rid of it. That's one thing I thought we could do. Another one is, we all come into this world with our baggage, whatever that may be, our likes and dislikes, our preferences. And even if it is our children, as parents, we also have a role and a duty, a responsibility to bring them up in the best way, but we don't own them 100%, because once they reach a certain age, now they have to learn to stand up on their own feet, isn't it? I mean, you expect them to do that, right? And if they're not standing up on their own feet, then there's another problem we have, So we have to allow them, like, I'm not sure your name, Cynthia, is sharing, we can't, we have to allow them to live their life, but to support them. I'm just using this as an example, right? Be there as a support, be there as a friend. I'm no more the mother or the father. I'm now a friend. So they should feel that ease to come to me. Many times, sometimes I hear, like this one person online, that their daughter is not talking, or their kids are not speaking to them, and they're teenagers. You will want your teenage children to talk to you, especially if they're, struggling with something, and you're sensing it, you're seeing it. And I'm not saying that this is the reason why it doesn't happen, but sometimes we need to, from the inception, build trust in the relationship, create a safe space at home, so that they feel a sense of belonging, they feel safe, that whatever it is they say or do, they wouldn't be judged in any way. So they will speak out, they will speak up, or they will share, they feel comfortable sharing. So there are different tactics. I'm not the expert in all these things, but I know these things kind of help and they work. Many of you probably would know more about things like this. But it's so important, right, to have open conversation. A lot of our unmet expectations is because it's in our head only. And we're perceiving things from whatever it is we have in our package and baggage. So we are seeing things from through those lenses, or from that vision, through that vision, and the other party, based upon their baggage, are seeing things through those lenses, and the two lenses are not the same. And so I'm walking around carrying all that stuff, and all it really needs is a 5 minutes of proper conversation. And then we suddenly realize, oh, that was so easy, right? So, or maybe it might be more than just 5 minutes, depending upon how big the issue is. And for that, I really have to, this ego thing, I really have to let go of what I think and I feel, and start, as they say, walk in a person's shoes and you understand their life. So something like that. Try to understand from their perspective what is going on, and not necessarily only from my perspective. So I have to drop that ego. Dropping the ego, meaning separate myself from that false I, and really start seeing myself as that beautiful spiritual entity filled with such positive energy. That's who I am. And now I'm ready to listen. So I'm not listening, waiting for you to finish so I can tell you whatever I think, but I'm listening to understand. And when we try to listen to understand, I put aside my preference so that I can understand. Then I might not even need to bother with my preference. Maybe my preference wasn't an important thing. Maybe it was more about the other side until we're able to come to common ground. So a lot of give and take has to happen if we want to stop the expectations. As much as we need to have expectations, we need to come to agreements rather than having expectations. Mutual agreements, like someone mentioned, mutual understandings. So in that case, then there's no need for expectations. We are doing what we are supposed to do. Even though we're the man, sometimes we have expectations. Oh, he said it's not going to rain, and suddenly it's raining, and I didn't bring my umbrella. No, if it had said that the forecast was going to rain, I could have brought the umbrella with me. Or they said it's going to rain, and I bring the umbrella, and there's no rain, and I fetch this heavy umbrella with me all the way to work. So all the time we're having expectations, right? So what are we going to do now? Fret and fume and make my life miserable because something happened out of my control? Or am I just going to accept, allow things to be, allow things to flow, and do the best I can? Now, it's over to you. Anything you want to add? Anything you want to ask? What you want to share? Yes, please.
What I want to share is there's this third option,
Mhm.
right? There's the expectation, and then there's, okay, maybe a disappointment or having to accept, right? And whatever. There's another place that I feel I have found through my practice here, and that is being in a state of remembrance and having an opening, right? Opening the self up to the complete unknown.
Mhm.
And that's what happened to me this week. And the solution was right under my nose. That's what I got to see. And B, the solution has enormous ripple positive effects for so many more people. It was so profound. And I think it's because I made this effort. It's not ordinary thinking.
Right.
It's extraordinary opening.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, this thing of, thank you so much. This thing of trusting in the outcome, that the outcome is going to be the best. And because, yeah, trusting in the outcome, knowing that only the best can happen. And the best may not be what I think is best, right? But it would still be beneficial for everybody involved, including me. And I may not see the silver lining right now, but it's there.
Don't you, and I say this all the time, and it's not my words, it was someone who comes fairly regularly here who says, you can let the other person win once in a while.
Yeah,
Actually, you should let the person win all the time. Who cares? It's not a competition.
exactly.
And you make it a competition,
Right.
you know, and I find when I do that, when I let you're having a discussion and you let the other person win.
It is
easy,
okay, easy.
Everybody's happy. It's
Right.
happy.
He's happy, I'm happy.
And guess what? Day goes on and it's a better day than, I find when I win, it's like a temporary,
Yeah.
like, oh, I got it. And yeah,
And-
and what is the win? Exactly, the word winning alone. Exactly, it's
Right.
binary. It's, it's a zero-sum game. I know, I find.
But
these
when we
days
let
it's a
go,
zero-sum game. It's
But
not.
you see, letting go, when we let go of something, anything, whatever, we create space, right? But I have to fill that space with something even more powerful, very powerful, actually. Otherwise, something else will come, some unmet thing will come in and fill that space. And again, the cycle goes on. So when we let go, we have to connect, right? Even to let go, first of all, I have to connect with my inner core, my truth, my inner self. And then second connection is beyond, right? To go to the divine, to the source. Let that light come in. So when that light come in, then I'm fine. It's a win-win case. Until probably at a later time, I'm using the word, the drama of life will be such that it may bring up that situation at a time when everybody is at ease, right? Kind, comfortable, and something will come up and you're able to address that situation and resolve it so that you don't have to go back there again. Be able to put a full stop to it. And we can change and we can move on. And if it never happens, then it's fine too. I find that in the long run, it works better. I'm not sure if you think differently. Most times it's better to let go. But when we are letting go, like I say, we let go and let God, as it says, right? So I bring that energy in. So because I'm in a good place and I look at you with the same vision, right? I look at you with the same feelings of goodness, then chances are that situation is going to either get resolved right then through the good energy that we're exchanging, or it will come up at some point when we're both more comfortable to address it. Because the law of life is such that all these unresolved issues that we have to be cleared up. Have to be cleared up at some point in time within each person. Right, it's that right. So if I'm having an issue with somebody, I have to clear it up. And the best place to start is with myself. Because if it cleared up within myself, chances are I got it cleared up with the other person. And this is why we're saying let it go or forgive your own self for having done or not done whatever happened. So you clear it up from your side. Then little by little, it will be cleared up from the other side. Anybody online wants to say anything? Anybody else in person here in the room want to say anything?
I don't see anything else. If any Zoomers out
Okay,
there.
Cynthia wants to say something. Cynthia, sure.
Well, it's very timely because, but my mantra is I let go of what I think I want and I think I need. And open to what God or the universe wants to send me or manifest for me. And it works.
Right.
I just connect to some higher source. And I don't need to know. I mean, what I'm thinking is usually incorrect anyhow.
Right.
So I let it go.
Yeah.
Wasn't last week we talked about detachment? Detachment. Okay, yeah. Yeah, right. Because it's like really unplugging and forgetting about thinking, like relinquishing thinking completely. And sometimes it takes an enormous amount of pressure for someone to be able to do that. And it's such a gift because if we lived that way more often, and for me, at least, that means making a deeper commitment to my practice, then who knows what could happen.
Exactly. I just want to come back to this person online who talked about the parent. You know, if you're struggling with your kids, you really have to work on your relationship and little by little and let them know that you are there for them and work on building a trusting relationship, a friend, relationship of a friend, so that they begin to feel safe in your company. So I wish you all the best. Things get resolved. And last comment, you raised your hand? No, sorry. I thought. Oh,
It's just a kind of a addition to what you were just saying, elaboration on that, which is sometimes if you know one, if you're people just want to know, or depending on what the relation is in the situation, that you care about them.
mhm.
I find
Right.
that they just want to know that you care about them, because a lot of the times when anger comes up, it can get so everybody knows, so uncomfortable, it's tense. Sometimes it can get very ugly. People say things they don't even mean.
Mhm.
And then, but I found that in my own life, when I know people care about me, and you just let them know, I really care about you, even though
Right.
we're having this problem now. We can get through it.
And give people space also, especially teenagers. They need some space. They don't need us.
Not even just teenagers,
Huh?
many adults.
Adults
I
also.
assure you. But
Yes.
I
so-
like what you said. It's
Yes.
true. If you come from a place of wishes and good feelings, deep,
Right.
heartfelt, not just saying it. Like someone once asked me a very important thing. Maybe I'll ask you and I didn't know the answer first. Now I do. What's the difference between being nice and being kind? Is it the same? And I said, it's the same thing. It's very right. I was dumb. I said, what? Nice. Yeah, nice is, you think, expectations. Oh, you're nice. Oh, what a nice, but kind is really deep in the heart of what you
Right.
feel, as opposed to just on the surface. Oh,
Exactly.
you're just being nice. It looks
You
nice.
can't be kind if it's not coming from the heart.
Exactly. So it's the same
Good.
thing.
So thank you all very much. I learned a lot from you, and I hope you have a little takeaway and you get free of all of this stuff and you can keep smiling all the time. So thank you so much, Michelle. Okay. Mhm, mhm, mhm. There we go. Okay. So we're going to free ourselves from all of this stuff, unwanted stuff. Okay, so let's take a deep breath in and release, letting the body relax. Keep both feet on the ground. Take another deep breath in. Allow your body to relax as you exhale. And as you watch your breath in and out, bring your thoughts together into this moment. And I now invite you to turn inward and connect with that beautiful light, the light of who you are. Allow your own light to shine very brightly and feel the love, the joy, and the peace that your light emanates. Hold yourself in this awareness and turn your attention to the one person with whom there is some unmet expectation. And holding yourself in your own light, see the other as a spiritual being, a being of light. Knowing that they have their own part to play, and they are doing the best they can also. And share your good feelings, knowing that everything is going to be all right. Take another deep breath in, out. Bring your thoughts back to this room. You may open your eyes.
Thank you. That was a really good meditation. I really kind of got lost in it. That was great. Thank you. Thank you, Sister Sabita, for a very cogent discussion. It was really very good. And thank you all. Really, they did a good job, right, Sherry? Yeah, you were, yeah. It was really interactive. I know Sister wanted it interactive. Thank you. Thank you so much. And Zoomers too. Thank you. And we will be back next month. It's going to be May. Believe it. Still light out. Look at that. And we'll be back in May with a new subject. Sure, a very provocative one. And see you in May. Thank you all. Om Shanti. For the totally and your
Thank you.
blessings. Thank you. See you at
Thank you. Om Shanti.